Hi folks, this is Lila and Scruffy. Today my video is called My Hysterectomy and the C Word. I talked over with my husband and I decided that I wanted to do this video to share with you what really happened and why I had to have a hysterectomy. First, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who commented and sent their well wishes for my recovery from the Where Have I Been video that I put out February 4th. Thank you so very much. All your comments and well wishes meant the world to me and helped me in my recovery. Today is February 15th, 2019. It's been 2 whole weeks since my hysterectomy. And for those of you that don't remember, or if you are just seeing this video for the first time, I had my uterus, cervix, ovaries, both ovaries, and fallopian tubes removed. I went yesterday, February 14th, for my first post-op evaluation with my surgeon, and I will talk more about that later. So let me get to this video real quick. I don't want to make it too long, but just to warn you, it might be too long. So grab a cup of coffee or tea or water or whatever, a snack, and hopefully you will, listen to this story and learn from it, or just to hear it. I'm 57 years old, and this was my first ever major surgery in my life. And I'm going to tell you everything from the beginning, how this all happened. On November 30th, I had a telephone call with my primary doctor, and we were going over some labs that I had previously did, which is nothing new. And she's talking and she's telling me, this and that and this, and everything was fine. And then she asked me, do you have any questions, or, how are you doing? Anything, you want to, talk about? And I said, well, I just wanted to say that I've been having some bleeding. She goes, where are you bleeding? And I said, I've been bleeding from my vagina. She said, oh, she took like a gasp and said, how long has this been going on? Oh, I said, it's been going on for a couple of months. She said, a couple of months? Oh, no, no, no. She said, this can't be. No, 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 no. I'm making you an appointment to see the GYN, which means gynecologist. So I said, okay. But I told her, I felt fine. I didn't have any pain. She asked me, do you have any pelvic pain, cramping, lower back pain, clotting? And I said, yeah, I'm having, some blood, some bleeding and a couple of clots, but no, other than that. She says, okay. So she set up the appointment for me and, told me, she forwarded the call, in other words, to the GYN department saying that someone would contact me. Sure enough, the next morning, I got a phone call, and they set up my appointment for December 3rd, 2018. I went in there in the morning. I met with the doctor. She was female. She was very nice. And she explained, I explained to her, what I, was having problems with. So she asked me my age and said, okay, and, how long have I been, if I went through menopause, haven't had a period. I said, oh, I haven't had a period in years. And she said that any vaginal bleeding is not good. She says, but we're not going to say anything right now because we don't know exactly what's going on until I take a look and do some tests. So before going into the examination room, I had to sign this paper agreeing to a biopsy. At that time, I didn't know what that was. I didn't think of anything of it. So I'm in there. I'm undressed from the waist down. I'm on the table. And she says, I'm going to just do a regular pap smear right now. And I said, okay. So she did the pap smear. And, all of us women know what that is. And then she said, okay, now I'm going to do a endometrial biopsy. And I said, okay, So I'm just there in the stirrups, just waiting. And she explained the procedure that she was going to go inside and take some tissue from the lining of my uterus. or my cervix. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. So she warned me that it's going to hurt. You're going to feel a really bad cramping just for a few seconds. So I said, okay, no big deal. And so she said, take a deep breath and then hold it. And then I'll tell you when to exhale. She goes, take a deep breath. And I felt her insert something in. And then I felt like a really hard, like, wow, a cramp, like a menstrual cramp, really like 20 times magnified. And then she said, exhale. And I said, woo. I said, whoa, whoa. I said, wow, woo. I said, that hurt. I haven't felt cramps like that. It was just like a really intensified menstrual cramp. Okay, all done. And she said, you're going to have a little bit of bleeding. That's okay. I'll give you a pad. But you should be fine. And that was that. Now, after I had that biopsy done, I saw all these videos about all these women saying that they were being butchered, that they were in pain and in bed for 3 days and bleeding. I walked out of there feeling fine. So maybe it's just me, my pain tolerance. But like I said, it wasn't not like, or I just had a really good GYN who did a great job. I didn't have any infections after or problems or bleeding or anything, except for the little bit of, the spotting for when she went in there and took out the tissue. Okay, so anyway, so fast forward, she goes, okay, I have to go to a conference, so I'll call you on December 10th and we'll go over your results. So I wasn't too nervous about it, the wait until Sunday night. Then it started to bother me. What if this, what if that? But I never thought I would hear the C word. Never. Never crossed my mind. So December 10th, 2 o'clock was my phone call. She called me and, she asked me how I was doing. I said, just fine. And then she told me what the results were. And she told me that I had endometrial cancer, stage 1 or grade 1, whatever. And I heard her say it, but it didn't hit me. It didn't bother me. And I just was like, okay. And then she said, did you hear what I said? Did you understand what I said? I said, yes, I heard you. And then I said, well, it is what it is. She was like taken aback because I was so cavalier about it. But it's just because I was like in shock. So she said, she goes, but there's a good thing about this one. Now, I don't know about you. To me, cancer is never good. I don't care what the stage, what the grade is. Nobody ever wants to hear that word, that you have cancer. But she said that this cancer that was showing is one of the best cancers you can get, meaning it's not life-threatening. Now, she couldn't say for sure at this stage, but from what she saw from the pathologist report, it's right there. They caught it early. So once she, gave me the bad news, and I said, okay, now what's the next step? She says, I'm going to refer you to an oncologist, and he's a specialist in women's gynecological cancers. And I said, okay. So she sent me she said that I would be getting a call from someone. I'm not going to say names. She will set up your appointment with him. I said, okay. So in the meantime, yeah, so the woman, I'll call her Miss H, she called me up and she told me, introduced herself, and she said she would be my case nurse, meaning she would be handling all my appointments and, things like that. And so she told me the first thing I had to do was make a pelvic and vaginal ultrasound appointment. So that was December 21st when she called me. And, when I went and had the procedure. So that's what I did. December 21st, 4 days till Christmas, I was over there having that done. And that was terrible. I had to drink like 32 ounces of water 1 hour before the procedure. Couldn't eat anything. And my bladder was just dying. I mean, I wanted to just pee all over myself. But you had to have a full bladder in order for them to see your organs better. So I went in there and I had the pelvic and the vaginal ultrasound. Then I went home and I was fine. And it was just a horrible Christmas. It was just a horrible month, a horrible Christmas. And, because I had to do all these tests and then getting the bad news that I had cancer. And I know you're wondering, well, did you cry? What happened? I I got sick to my stomach. Like after I hung up the phone, I felt nauseous and my stomach turned. And I thank God I was at home when they. I think they should tell you when you're at home because there's no way I think I could have drove home. I would have been a wreck. And so I was glad to be home when I got that news. And I hung up the phone and I heard my husband. He was listening in the other room, and he knew because I got really quiet. He said, "What happened?" I said, just like this. I said, "Well, I have cancer." And my husband just like he didn't say anything. And then he came in the room to look at my face. And I didn't lose it. I just said, "Wow, I can't believe it." I said, "I can't believe it. It has to be a mistake." Because I felt fine. I felt great. I felt just because I had some bleeding, I thought, oh, maybe it's a polyp or a fibroid or, endometriosis. I don't know. There's more reasons to have, female problems than cancer. And I've always had bad periods all my life since I was a young girl and cramps and things like that. So I just couldn't believe it. Honestly, I couldn't believe that they told me cancer. So anyway, that's when I dropped out of sight. After December 3rd, I just, December 10th, really, I just dropped out of sight and I decided that I was just going to keep it to myself and, just go through it privately. So, anyway, so here comes December 31st. I met with the oncologist the last day of the year. It was not a great New Year's Eve. Sure wasn't. Having to spend the day there talking with the surgeon. So I met him. He was very, how can I say, very flat. He was just straight facts. He wasn't very, how can I say, comforting. Not that he was rude or mean or anything. He wasn't. His demeanor was just flat, just stuck to the facts. So I went in there and they told me he had to examine me. And I got upset about that because I had already been poked and probed and, took tests and things. So I didn't understand why. But they said, he's the surgeon. He has to see. So I didn't know, see what. So anyway, I had to undress, and so he just did a real quick check. It was like in and out, he was over. And then he said, okay, get dressed and I'll see you in my office. Now, I didn't like that at all. So I got dressed and I went in his office and he was in there typing away and I just sat down and I remember looking around. We're on the fourth floor and there was he had a beautiful view. You see downtown Los Angeles and the Hollywood sign. And I looked at all his plaques and achievements. And I knew nothing about this oncologist, just that he was given to me to be my surgeon for my hysterectomy. Then he was typing away, and I know it was on my file or whatever. And then he stopped and he goes, okay, and he folded his hands and he smiled and he looked at me and he says, what we're going to do for you is a hysterectomy. And I said, okay. And what does that mean? He goes, we're going to do a total, TBS or TOB, whatever, hysterectomy, meaning we're going to take out your uterus, your cervix, both your ovaries, and your fallopian tube. I said, okay. And what about chemo or radiation therapy? You don't need none of that. He said it was, it's pretty, cut and dry. And I said, well, what about the stage, the grade? And he says, no, no, no. He says, we won't know the grade of it till after the surgery. So I go, yeah, but they were telling me I had stage 1. They said, yeah, well, the report shows that it looks like it didn't spread very far, but we won't know till after the surgery. And I said, okay. And I said, is that it? And he goes, that's it. Just a hysterectomy. Now, of course, I was scared to death here, knowing that I had to have surgery. But I had no choice in the matter. When they tell you have cancer, you don't have a choice. You either have the surgery or you're going to die. Simple, straight out facts. So he said, okay, Miss H will call you and set up your day for the surgery. And she'll send you all the information you need. And that was it. And I got kind of angry because on the way out he says, oh, Happy New Year. And I just looked at him. I said, yeah, right. And I just walked out. I thought, wow, what a dick. I did, saying that to me, But I kind of regret saying that about him, but I take it back now. So anyway, so New Year's Eve was, very quiet. It was just me and my husband and Scruffy, and it was sad, it was scary, and all these things, and I just found myself waking up in the middle of the night, and I couldn't go back to sleep, and just thinking about it, couldn't believe it that I had cancer and I was going to have this surgery. So I decided that the next day, January 1st, that it's a brand new year, and I'm just going to arm myself with knowledge about my cancer and the surgery. And I started going online. Now, Miss H sent me a wonderful packet of wonderful information on cancer and, the type of cancer I have, all the do's and don'ts, and, advised diet, everything I could actually, want. But I did find a website called HysterSisters.com, and I recommend any woman to go to that website. It's not just for cancer; it's for all women, female problems and hysterectomies, mostly hysterectomies. And you'll find a wealth of information there on everything from the do's and don'ts, from post-op to pre-op, what to do, what not to do, what to buy, everybody's experience with their pain and their surgery. It's just, I love it. I love it. So I joined HysterSisters. So anyway, so that's what I did the whole month of January. And, I found out my surgery was going to be February 1st. So I just prepared myself for the surgery, and, just waiting for that day. I will say this, for me personally, it was torture, mentally, not physically, mentally torture, waiting. It's the waiting. That was the longest 31 days of my life. Just waiting, the waiting. Even my husband was, on edge. We all were. Even the dog sensed it. She knew that things weren't right. And I got my had plenty of time to prepare myself mentally for it. So I made sure I stayed well. I didn't catch a cold or anything or got sick, and I just try to take it easy, and just waiting for the day. So anyway, let's fast forward. February 1st is when I had my surgery, and like I said, for those of you that didn't see my "Where Have I Been" video, I had my surgery. It was a success. I was home the same day. I was back in my house by 4:30 p.m. February 1st. I had a excellent recovery. Today I am 2 weeks post-op. Um, by the second day of my surgery, February 3rd, I was off the pain pills. I was up, walking from day one, and by Sunday I was taking a shower and doing a little bit of, light cooking and cleaning. Not cleaning, cooking, making me some coffee and things like that. So what I'm going to do, because this video is getting really long, is I'm going to make a separate video on what I did to get well so quickly, and my tips and some of the tools that I use that could help anybody, not just people who have a hysterectomy, but any type of surgery in recovering. I want to show you real quick. This is the surgery that I had. This is called the robotic assisted surgery. It's a godsend. I was lucky that I was a candidate to have it. Not all women can have this surgery. This is what it looks like right here. You see that? Look at that. I mean, I was horrified when I saw that machine. Now, I didn't go online and look at the surgery itself because I would have been scared to death. Hell no. I mean, excuse my language. I didn't want to see that thing. I didn't want to see how they stick those arms in your stomach. I didn't want to see it. Now, I did look at it after. So I was like, oh my gosh, they did that to me? Oh, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. But this right here, this is the actually the bomb.com. Yes, it is. Yes, it's the Vinci robotic um, surgery, and yes, it is named after the artist Da Vinci. And oh, I can't say enough. I can't say enough. about it. And see where this man is sitting? That's where the surgeon does your surgery. Right there. You're going to be in the middle there with that table and all those arms right there, and the assistant. And it's just amazing. Amazing. So, anyway, so once the surgery was done and I've been home recovering, I haven't been outside since February 1st. And my first post op appointment was Thursday, February 14th, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now. I was scared, anxious, about going to see the doctor, the surgeon. I went there to have my four, I had staples in my four incisions in my belly removed. It hurt a little bit, but I had took some Tylenol prior. And then we had to talk about the results of my surgery. And he told me the best news I could ever hear. He told me that my pathology report was great, that it was great, that my cancer was not even near any body parts. It was the best thing I could have heard on Valentine's Day. And I was just so happy. I didn't cry or anything, but I just looked at him. I said, "Are you sure?" He goes, "Yep." He told me, and I know you might think this might sound kind of weird, but like I said, you have to understand the kind of doctor that he is. He said, "Your cancer was rinky dink. You had a rinky dink cancer." He said that my cancer was only in the muscle. The cancer had only got into the muscle. It did not get into the lining of the uterus, um, as at first diagnosed, because that's where it usually starts. But he told me it was in the muscle and it had not spread to any other parts. Now, of course, they had to take everything out because, like, say you kept your ovaries, well, there's a chance it could spread there, and then you'll have to go back in for another surgery. So they rather just take everything out to be on the safe side. And just to prove to you, because I know a lot of people think, "Oh, you're lying, and you didn't have cancer, you're not sick." It says right here, has had endometrial cancer. You see that? Had. I don't have it. Okay? So there it is, February 14th. Okay? That's where I was. Okay? I went to the doctor. See that? That's what it says here on my, uh, you know, paper here that when I was leaving. Has had. Okay? I don't have it anymore. Now, that doesn't mean I'm cancer free. I have to be monitored for 5 years and to be declared cancer free, because there is a chance that it can come back within 3 years. Okay? And so I'm not out of the woods by any means. So, do I have cancer? I mean, yes, I am living with cancer, but I am not dying from cancer. So, that's my new friend, cancer. I am living with cancer. I don't have to go back for any checkups or anything till August, when he will do, another, regular, I guess, exam and some tests to make sure that there is no cancer, reoccurrence. So anyway, so that's my story, my personal experience. This was my hysterectomy for my body. Again, I am 57 years old, and I was diagnosed with endometrial cancer. Okay, stage 1. It did not spread to any other parts of my body. They did all kinds of blood work, checked my cells, everything. So, again, I had endometrial cancer, and I just feel great. I can't even believe that it's been 2 weeks. I still have to take it easy. Um, I was, we were so excited. We left the doctor's office and we went and had our dinner for Valentine's Day. I told him, we didn't make plans because we didn't know what the outcome was going to be and how I was going to be feeling, after hearing the news. So, I mean, I never ate. I ate all my food. I was felt so relieved, like a burden was lifted off my shoulders, and I just felt, I just was thanking God, just thanking God, seriously. So anyway, I just want to say also thank you again to everyone for all your well wishes and your kind comments. I hope my hysterectomy cancer story will help maybe someone you know, or maybe you yourself that might be going through something like this, or know somebody that might be, affected by this. Um, just remember that we as women need to take care of ourselves. We're always putting our family, our husbands, our kids, everybody before us. But you already know any kind of bleeding outside of your normal period, whether you're old or young, is not normal. And you need to go as soon as possible to see your GYN about any kind of bleeding or clotting or pain. Don't ignore it. Please don't ignore it. I thank God. I don't know why I told my doctor that day on the phone about my bleeding, but I'm glad I did. It saved my life. It saved my life. Even though you think, oh, I feel great, I feel fine. Like you said, I wasn't sick. I wasn't hurting. I wasn't, okay, I had some bleeding, big deal. It's probably a polyp, or, you just pass it off and keep going, and no, don't do it. Don't do it. Just take care of yourself, because you only have one body and one chance. So, um, that's all I wanted to share with you. So anyway, this video is way too long, and uh, I just because I had a lot to share with you. So that's what happened to me. So this is Lila saying thank you so much for watching my hysterectomy and the C word, and we'll see you soon. And sending Callie love. Bye bye.